Hey guys, so this week I learned a very valuable lesson, and that lesson actually ended up costing me $1,300. Yes, that's a lot of money to me, so not a cheap lesson. You may be wondering what happened. Well, continue watching and I'll tell you all about it. Thanks so much for joining me today. My name is Natalie. This is RX45. This channel is all about financial independence, financial literacy, and I will also be talking about pharmacy. But today I'm talking about my $1,300 mistake. Friday afternoon, I was watching my dog and I was on my computer at the same time, being a little bit distracted, probably watching a YouTube video. And all of a sudden I hear my dog chewing on something. So I rushed on over to investigate, and in my hurry to find out what my dog was chewing on, I knocked over a glass of water. That glass was pretty much full and it went right onto the keyboard of my nice little MacBook Air. Yeah, so what I did in my panic, fortunately I had the reason to think this through, I flipped my computer over thinking I'd get as much water out. Then I powered it down. Then I got my phone out and YouTubed what to do in case you spill water on your MacBook. And they tell you, power the computer down, which I did, turn the computer into a tent position, so the bottom's up and it looks like a tent, and then keep the computer off for 48 hours. So that's exactly what I did. Sunday night, I go to turn on my computer and it powers on, but it only remains on for about a minute. After a minute, it crashes and it's not charging. My computer's toast, essentially. Monday morning, I decide I need to go to the Apple store. I need to find out if there's any chance that my MacBook Air will be alive and breathing again one day. There's a whole bunch of changes at the Apple store, let me tell you. So because of the pandemic, they have security screening everybody who comes to the store. Security takes your temperature, they ask you how you're feeling, ask you if you have a cough or a fever, and then they direct you to a line. And you're not able to talk to the Genius Bar. The Genius Bar is their technicians. So you're not able to talk to them without an appointment. So I'd driven 15 minutes, not so much, to schedule an appointment. Okay, I come back the next day, I get screened again, and then I'm allowed into the store and I speak to the Genius Bar, this really nice guy named Zach. I tell Zach what happened. He takes my computer into the back, opens it up, and confirms that yes, indeed, there is water damage. No surprise to me. I ask him what the repairs might cost. The repairs apparently will cost $750, which is not an option for me. This is a 6-year-old computer, 6-year-old MacBook Air, and at this point, I'm better off purchasing a computer. So I started doing research. What is my best option? I know I only want a MacBook, and I've had the Air and I was so happy with the MacBook Air. It's a really great everyday computer, and you can even do some elementary video editing and things like that. So I knew I wanted a MacBook Air. I went on to Amazon, I went on to Best Buy's website, I Googled Mac deals. Nothing jumped out at me. If there was something available, it was like a model that's 2 or 3 years old, and the refurbished stuff was either not in stock or again like a model that's already aging 3 or so years old. I also consulted my brother. He's kind of a techie, and he kind of said the same thing. He looked at my computer too, took it apart, confirmed that there's corrosion and the hardware and everything is pretty much all messed up. The motherboard and the CPU is all fudged up. So at this point, I'm getting ready to buy a computer. It's Friday, it's getting on to a week, and I'm craving some computer time. it's been kind of difficult with just my phone. I returned to the Mac store. I know like the specs of the computer that I want, and I talked to a salesperson, Jennifer, and she's being helpful, and we're trying to figure out the best deal, if there's any discounts or something available. And Jennifer's telling me I'm going to get the best deal if I order online. In the store, I order online and I schedule a time for pickup, and it's like 3 hours off. So long story short, it took me 4 trips to the Apple store, 4 trips, to find out that yes, my old MacBook is no bueno, will never work again, will never breathe again, and 4 trips to finally get a brand new, beautiful MacBook Air. And I walked away, my wallet $1,300 lighter, but I walked away with a 2020 MacBook Air. And the earbuds, yeah, they kick in the earbuds to sweeten the deal, but let me tell you, my frugal heart was hurting nonetheless. My experience with my MacBook Air got me thinking, not taking care of my things ended up costing me a lot of money. And wouldn't it be better if we took care of our things properly and ended up saving money? And I started thinking on that track, like, what if I had a case on my computer? Or what if I had just kept my glass of water on a counter further away? I wouldn't have had to get my Mac replaced at this time, and I'd have a functioning computer still. And why doesn't this approach apply to everything we own, all items that we possess? For instance, our homes. Whenever our homes are neglected, the longer they remain neglected, the more damage there is, and the more costly it is to repair that damage and to get the house in working order. Take your roof, for instance. When you purchase a home, I hope you're looking at the roof. I hope you're either inspecting it yourself, or even better, hiring a professional inspector, checking to see if there's leaks, checking to see if there's mold or mildew. As a homeowner, you should know how old your roof is and when it was put on. And also, as a homeowner, you should be going up into the attic. Not only can you see a lot about your house from the attic or crawl space, you can really learn a lot. We purchased our house in the dead of winter around New Year's in 2018, going on to 2019. And we didn't hire an inspector, and we didn't go up into the attic ourselves. So that summer, I kept hearing something above our bedroom. I heard like some kind of scratching or scurrying. And I told this to my boyfriend, Andrew, and I'm like, Andrew, I'm hearing something. There's definitely something up there. And he kind of disregarded it. He thought it was a tree scratching the house. But eventually, he heard it too, and I was insisting. So he went up to the attic to check it out. And what do you think was up in the attic? It was a whole colony of bats, an enormous colony of bats. He came down and he was kind of like white as a ghost, surprised and concerned. And I was freaking out a little bit too, and I'm like, Andrew, we gotta call pest control. We gotta get this taken care of. Not only are they damaging our house, they are an incredibly big health hazard. I called out a company that extracts bats, and they estimated us $9,000. Yeah, $9,000. We ended up getting 2 more estimates, and they were both more reasonable. We ended up paying $4,500 to get bats removed from our attic. And again, this is a note on being aware of all the situations that can happen in your home. You might have bats, and they will do damage, further damage to your house if you don't take care of them. Part of owning your home is also being aware and vigilant of all your plumbing. Is anything leaking? Is there a dripping faucet? Check the drains if you can see them underneath the sink. Make sure that everything's okay. If you hear your toilet running, either fix it yourself, or better yet, get a professional plumber to take care of that, because water damage is the absolute worst. It will destroy everything around it. It will make it rot, mold, and mildew. And that's when you really get into trouble. You don't want to compromise the structural integrity of your house. And I do not even want to think about how much mold and mildew remediation costs. So be a responsible homeowner and check your plumbing and keep your eyes and ears peeled. The basement is also an important place to look. I recommend going down there after a really rainy day, or maybe when snow starts to melt, because that's when there might be water in your basement. If you have sump pumps, check your sump pumps. So yeah, check to see if there's water coming into your basement. Yes, everybody's terrified of waterproofing because that is very expensive stuff, but it's a lot easier to take care of early on and a lot cheaper to take care of earlier on rather than years down the road, again, when there's damage and when the cinder blocks are all messed up and when you have mold and mildew. Your furnace, your boiler, your water heater, check all the components. Visibly inspect everything. If you have a septic system, that's yet another system that you need to keep an eye on. Andrew's uncle actually has a septic system, and he happened to not maintain it so well for years and years and years, really over a decade. He called Andrew in, and Andrew's a plumber, and he wanted to learn how to work on septic systems, so he and another one of his plumber buddies started working on this thing. And essentially, because it had not been maintained for so long and it had been neglected a little bit, it cost a lot more because there were a whole bunch of pumps and things I'm not going to get into that needed to be replaced. But had the system been maintained regularly, the damage wouldn't have been so bad and it wouldn't have been nearly as costly. I guess what I'm trying to say is that owning a home is a huge responsibility. You should be checking every part of your house regularly, maybe on a monthly or a bi-monthly basis, checking outside, checking the attic, every unoccupied room, basement, because you might find something that could potentially turn into a very expensive problem. And if you remediate that problem earlier on, you will be saving yourself money, I promise you. A car is another thing that, if maintained and well taken care of, it will keep working for a long time. But if you don't treat it well, it will disintegrate and give you all sorts of headaches. So first of all, are you using the right kind of gas in your car? A lot of luxury cars require a high octane gas, the premium stuff, the most expensive stuff, of course. But if that's what your manual says, that's what you should be putting into your car. Next, make sure that you are replacing your oil, changing your oil regularly, on time. Make sure that you are using the right type of oil. Don't put it off, because you can build up sludge in your engine and ruin your engine. And as we all know, that's one of the most important and expensive components of your car. Make sure your brakes are working well, functioning well. Again, another very important system. It might even prevent an accident, and we all know how expensive accidents can be. Your car, if you take care of it and you maintenance it appropriately, as long as you don't neglect it, it will keep driving for you thousands and thousands of miles. And electronics, I speak from personal experience on this one. I can be kind of clumsy at times, and believe me, please, please, please do this. If you take one thing away from this video, buy a case, buy a case, buy a case, and put it on your laptop and put it on your smartphone. I have destroyed 2 laptops with water or some kind of drink, and I have destroyed 2 smartphones by dropping them on cement and watching them shatter. It is very sad. These electronics can be very expensive, especially if you're getting the Mac. So these are expensive things. Take care of them and put a case on them. It's also important to take care of your clothes and your shoes. Launder them according to the directions on the tag. Take the time to hang them up and fold them neatly. Shoes can be so expensive. Don't throw them into the back of the closet and have dirt build up on them. Put them neatly in a shoe organizer. These things add up. Your musical instruments, anytime you're not playing them, they should be hung up neatly. I'll show you a picture of my guitars and how I have them hanging, or they should be neatly put away in their case. The wind instruments, you should take them apart and clean them out carefully. Moisture is not a friend of wind instruments. Wash your hands before you play your instrument. Nobody wants yucky, sticky finger stuff left behind by your fingers on guitar strings or piano keys. And speaking of pianos, you really should have a professional tech come in and tune your piano every 6 months to a year, sometimes a year and a half, and they'll also clean out the dust and make sure your piano or whatever instrument is sounding great. Mattresses can be very expensive, and it's another thing that you can take care of by putting a mattress protector on it. I swear by these things. Believe me, you do not want any kind of bodily fluids on your mattress. That is gross, that is yucky. Mattress protectors you can throw in the laundry and you're good to go. And don't forget to rotate your mattress every 6 months. And some people also recommend spraying or dropping some baking soda on your mattress and then vacuuming it up. That absorbs excess moisture. We all love our pets very much, but boy can they cause a lot of damage. If you have a dog in the house and you have a very expensive couch, train your dog to keep off the couch. Pretty straightforward stuff. And if you have a cat, then buy your cat a scratching post so the cat's actually scratching the post and not your furniture. If you're housebreaking your dog, clean up the accidents right away, or else they will soak into your floors. They will ruin your hardwood floors, your carpets. So take care of that as soon as possible. Don't scold the dog. It's not their fault. If you have a cat, make sure the litter boxes are clean and make sure that they have enough litter boxes, or else the cat will go in other places in your house. All of our possessions can be extremely expensive, so consider for a moment all the time and energy you put in to obtaining these things that we have. Take for example the MacBook Air I just purchased. It costs $1,300. I make $60 an hour. That means it took me 21 and a half, 22 hours to make the money to purchase this MacBook Air. Or take a $20,000 car, for example. That is about 333 hours of my work time in order to purchase that car. So I'm going to think of all that time and energy I put in, and I'm going to take care of these things better. I highly recommend reading Marie Kondo's The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. I really enjoyed this book. I don't ascribe to all of its ideas, but there are a lot of good ideas in it. And one of them says that objects or things, they have a purpose that they want to fulfill. Every object wants to fulfill its purpose. And I'll give you an example. Andrew had an Audi that he used to drive. It's an Audi convertible. He had actually left it at his parents' house for a while. And for a couple of months, it was on his parents' driveway out in the rain, and the soft top was getting a little mildewy and green. It was starting to look yucky. So I kind of insisted on Andrew, hey Andrew, we gotta get the rest of the garage cleaned up. You need to get the car over to our house so you can work on it, you can drive it and enjoy it. Well, we did that, and the car remained in the garage. It wasn't really being driven. We either drove my car or Andrew drove his work van. After a while, we both saw that this car wasn't getting the use it should be using. It's a wonderful car. So Andrew actually ended up selling it to his business partner, Joe, and Joe is enjoying the car so much. We cleaned it up and we spruced it up, and it looks like a shiny penny before we handed it off to Joe, and he's just loving it. He and his wife are taking it out and riding with the top down. It's summertime and they're having a blast. And this car is fulfilling its purpose and making Joe very happy. If you treat an object with love and respect, it will continue to look great and it will continue to serve it. If you neglect an object, one of three things will happen. Either you will have very expensive repairs, or you will have to get rid of it altogether and it will be wasted, or you'll have to replace it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is neglected stuff, it ends up being costly and expensive to us, just like my MacBook Air, which I destroyed. I ended up having to pay for it. And stuff that's well taken care of, well, it will bring you savings and enjoyment and pleasure. That's all I have for you today, guys. I hope you found the video helpful and enjoyable. And please don't forget to hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button and drop me a comment below. Thanks so much. Have a great day.